It was late in the evening, and the park ranger's shift had just begun. The desert air was thick with the remnants of the day's heat, but the night had a strange, unnatural chill to it. The darkness was absolute, a blanket that seemed to swallow the road ahead. Out here in Tuba City, Arizona, there was nothing for miles, just the vast, empty expanse of the desert stretching out in all directions. The ranger had worked this beat for years, his job to patrol the desolate stretches of land, ensuring the safety of the few who dared to venture out here. His headlights cut through the thick night, casting a ghostly light over the rough, winding roads. He was used to the quiet, but tonight the stillness felt different. There was an undercurrent of unease, a sensation he couldn't quite shake. He flicked the radio on, the crackling of the static filling the silence. There were no updates, just routine, but still, something gnawed at him. It was a feeling he couldn't quite shake, but it was there, tugging at the back of his mind as he continued his patrol. The road twisted ahead, the familiar path he'd driven countless times. He knew every bump and curve, every dark corner. That's when he saw it. A figure, far in the distance, moving down the middle of the road. At first, it seemed like a person, someone walking, maybe stranded or lost. The ranger slowed, instinctively preparing to offer help. He leaned forward, trying to make out any details in the dim light. But the figure didn't respond. It didn't even seem to acknowledge the truck. It just kept moving, its pace steady and unfaltering. "Hey," the ranger called out, rolling down his window. His voice broke the silence, cutting through the stillness of the desert. "You need help?" There was no answer. He stepped out of the truck, his boots crunching on the gravel as he walked toward the figure. His flashlight beam cut through the dark, landing on the person ahead. At first, it seemed normal, just someone walking down the road, their back turned toward him. But as he got closer, he noticed something off about the way they moved. The figure didn't walk like a person. It was stiff, jerky, and unnatural. Each step seemed forced, as if it wasn't quite comfortable in its own skin. The way the figure swayed, twisted, it just didn't look human. The ranger's gut twisted, a cold shiver running down his spine. Something wasn't right. The air seemed to grow colder, heavier, pressing in on him as he approached. "Are you all right?" he asked again, his voice laced with concern and growing unease. Still no answer. Then, without warning, the figure suddenly stopped, its body jerking unnaturally, as if it had been waiting for something. For a moment, there was complete silence. Then, the figure turned around, its head snapping in an impossible motion, the neck stretching in an inhuman way. The ranger froze. The face that looked back at him wasn't human. It was a grotesque mask of skin, its eyes wide and unblinking, fixed on him with an unsettling intensity. There was no expression, no emotion, just a cold, empty stare. And then the figure moved. It wasn't a casual shift or a simple step. It lunged forward at an impossible speed, darting off into the darkness with the speed that no human could achieve. The ranger's heart raced, his body frozen in place as he watched the shape disappear into the shadows. His mind screamed at him to run, but he couldn't move. The air around him felt electric, charged with a strange energy. His breath came in shallow gasps as he fumbled for his flashlight, pointing it in every direction. He was alone, the vast desert surrounding him in all directions, and yet it felt as though something was closing in. He heard it before he saw it. A low, guttural growl. It was a deep sound vibrating in his chest, and it came from somewhere close by. Too close. He turned the beam of the flashlight, sweeping over the ground. The gravel crunching beneath his boots. There, in the distance, the figure reappeared. But this time it was different. The figure was no longer walking. It was crouched low to the ground, its body contorted in an unnatural way. The shape had shifted again, its form now resembling a large, twisted coyote. But it wasn't just any animal. The eyes, those eyes, they were human. The pupils gleamed in the flashlight's beam. It gleamed with an unsettling, knowing intelligence. For a moment, the ranger stood there, frozen, staring into those eyes. His mind couldn't process what he was seeing. He had heard the stories, heard the warnings from the locals about skinwalkers, shapeshifters who could take on any form of any creature, any person. But he hadn't believed them, not really. Not until now. The creature growled again, the sound echoing through the still night air, a sound that sent a surge of terror through the ranger's body. It wasn't just an animal, and it wasn't just a person. It was something else, something dark, something ancient. And then, without warning, it lunged. The ranger snapped out of his stupor, his survival instincts kicking in. He turned and ran, his legs pumping as fast as they could carry him. His breath came in ragged gasps, his heart thundering in his chest. He didn't dare look back, not even once. He reached the truck, scrambling inside, slamming the door shut. His hands shook as they turned the key, the engine roaring to life. He didn't wait. He floored the gas pedal, speeding down the road, not stopping until he had put miles between himself and whatever that thing was. But even as he drove, the image of those eyes burned into his mind. He knew what he had seen: a skinwalker, a shapeshifter. The stories weren't just tales to scare children. They were warnings. And the ranger, for the first time in his life, knew what actual fear felt like.